Welcome, welcome, welcome. If you are watching me on YouTube, I'm about to start recording on my side. Just giving it a second and we will start. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I am Dr. Neva, your global leadership strategist. I have a global leadership experience through different events that I do, so Women's Wealth Summit, and great programs that I do. I'm about to launch the leadership for entrepreneurs, which we're going to do a little deep dive into today, or what I might consider, being a deep dive. Also, we do a retreat, and we have a retreat coming up in May. Now, if you've been here before watching this podcast, you will know that sometimes I have guests. But again, today, I shouldn't say again because we do have quite a few guests every week. We're here on a Wednesday at noon, right? So if you feel like you're fabulous, great, and have great information to share, because my I like to give knowledge, experience, learning experience. So if you are share, feel free to go to the website, Nevalliance. You see it in the background, and reach out, complete the podcast form, and yeah, you could be a guest right here. So today we're going to talk a little bit about leadership for entrepreneurs and how we got here. I don't know if you know this about me, but I actually studied leadership. Now, hear me out. It's a bit of I would say maybe a murky water, or, I'm careful of saying certain things because I've been in, rooms before where someone would say, what are you doing? I say leadership development. They go, oh, me too. And sharing, where, it might be a program that they went into someone's program for a few months. And that is good because I also offer that. But for me, I actually have my dissertation on it, right? So for me, I studied it. So my doctorate is in educational leadership. I've done research papers on woman and leadership. I've studied international women and how they view leadership, but not that only. I mean, my dissertation, I studied, and we're going to go into my dissertation a little bit today. Yes, my dissertation, I looked at the relationship with leadership skills and styles and the educational level, particularly higher educational level for entrepreneurs. So, using the word entrepreneurs loosely because it was small business owner, and I looked at a sample size of small business owners in the real estate business in New York, specifically Queens, New York. We're going to talk about that. So, why that sample size? At that time that I started my doctoral program, I was running the Caribbean Business Network in Queens, New York. So, when my committee said to me, what where will you get your sample size? And I said, well, I don't known and I thought about it and I was like, my sample size is actually what I have. I have data. I have a networking organization with people who were very active and coming out and stuff. So I use them. I use them to give me the information. But why did I even selected this topic? Yes, I had a great sample size, but if you ever went through a dissertation, not only a dissertation, process, but you have the theses, different programs have different, you know, levels, I should say, of what you need to do to complete the program. So if you've ever gone through that process, you will know that you have to choose a topic. So with the dissertation, it's like, okay, what are you going to talk about and why are you going to talk about it? So my mom, love her, love her. She's a business owner, but my mom, and there is um I'm probably going to be doing I'm going to be doing a TEDx soon. I'm not sure if I'm going to talk about this topic, but I'm leaning heavily towards it where my mom, as far as being a business owner, her what's her background, right? So for her, she just know that she loves business and she wanted to survive and she wanted to do something, right? When she created this business, it was just something she loved. She's passionate about designing as far as fabrics and stuff like that. That's the area that she's in. And that's what she wanted to, do. Now, here's the issue: managing workers. Managing workers. I have noticed how different she might operate with managing her workers based on her educational level than someone else with a different educational level. For her, her approach is you do as I say. You do as I say, get it done, boom, no feedback, anything. And it might work for her. And I've also, in my study, realized depending on where you are, as far as, or what you do, or what type of business you own, your leadership style also varies because you might be in an atmosphere where it's necessary to get that feedback. It is necessary to have a participative kind of leadership style or situational or transformational or but then there are people who focus in on having a dictatorship approach or autocratic approach. So it was just where I tell you what to do, you do it. And then there's countries that work better in. Now, if you're coming from the United States, your mentality might be a little bit different on the approach that should be used, right? So I'm just going to ask you to give me a little second while I pull this dissertation up, guys. And I want to let you know, wow, it is 126 pages. I went today to just pull it up and said, you know what? I'm going to pull it up and I'm going to show you some of the things. I'm not going to go into depth, but just a glance into what I really did for my dissertation. So give me a second. Open to find it. Hold on. And guys, while I look this up, know that I am again, we are here on Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. So if would like to be a part of it, if you're by the way, if you're watching me right now on YouTube, know that I can only answer the questions after because I'm recording from Zoom. So it's a little bit, tedious for me to go back and forth. So here we go. So the relationship between leadership style and higher educational background. studying small business owner in Southeast New York. That is my dissertation. So when I talk about leadership, I get passionate about leadership because this is murky water for me where I've dealt with small business owners. I know how to help you set up a business, whatever. But my focus is really on having you run those business. You set it up great. Now have you run it. And I remember even speaking with a friend and I, discussed the passion of what I want to do. And she said to me, well, Neva, and she might be right. Most business owners, they just want to sales and marketing. They don't want to learn. They want you to just help them with sales and marketing. And I made the grave mistake at that time trying to give you what you want. But at the same time, my passion lies again in making sure you run effectively, right? So back to what I said earlier, although I have this knowledge as far as leadership and, entrepreneurship, right? I also lead a whole in total from just leadership within women and I lead with entrepreneurs is something that so what did I find research, right? Of course, we give our old, background acknowledgement and stuff like that. Here, my dedication to my loving mother, Juliet Mitchell, who did not have the opportunity to come to school education. I dedicate passed away. Oh my gosh, I haven't read this in a minute, but ooh, woo, but who constantly remind me that I am special. Last but not least, my grandfather, James Mitchell. I wish you were alive to witness my greatest accomplishment. Oh my gosh. I have not seen this in years. A matter of fact, I have not gone back to, read the definition and so this is basically pages. Now, someone who have completed their doctorate probably said that's not a lot of pages. For me, it was. It was. So, I writing a lot of, and I did it. So let's go in the larger economy. And again, just overall, I'm not going to sit here and read it for you. But again, as I mentioned, I studied New York. But let's move to that. Leadership plays an important role in shaping outcomes for small businesses. And what I found is, although this happened, right? People were not focused on that, or maybe they didn't see the value in it. So, although the relationship between these variables have not been fully quantified in the literature, there is evidence that close relationships among entrepreneurship, educational level, and leadership exist. Right. So it all boils down to if you have those connected, it could make you a more effective leader. So, the purpose of the study, I'm not going to go through that. I want to go through a little bit of the results, right? So again, guys, there's no way I'm going to go through this. If you want me to go through it a little deeper, feel free to reach out and maybe I do another episode on that, but let's just focus in. So the research questions and hypothesis that I focused in on Number one, there will be a correlation between leadership style of the small business owner operating in the real estate sector and the leader's level of education, right? That's one. Two, if the business owner operating in the real estate sector does not oppose a terminal, they don't have a terminal degree, then he or she will primarily use a laissez-faire leadership or autocratic leadership. Laissez-faire is kind of like, go with the wind. That's the way I explain it, right? Making it simpler for you because I'm not sure everyone that is here listening to me fully understand leadership as a whole. So, you know, let's move on. The second one of the small business owners operating in the real estate sector with the success of the small business owner. If, and here's another component, if laissez-faire leadership style or autocratic leadership style is used by the business owner operating in the real estate sector, it will be associated with business failure. Yes. And what the heck does that mean? Pretty much, guys, if you're using a certain leadership style, a dictatorship, autocratic leadership style, and you're just telling people what to do, sooner or later, the person might detach from you. It just becomes a job. It's just something that they do. And if you just have a job, sometimes you want to leave and you're not really leading sometimes in a leadership role, but more like I'm a boss. I tell you what to do. And that is what I found in my study, right? Guys, this is a long study, and I'm here sitting through like, wow, I should have cut it up a little bit for before I sat here and try to go through it. But I'm now just trying to go, of course, as a part of research, I had to define each leadership style. So that's what I'm here going, skipping through for you and just trying to go through the results. In the meantime, guys, while I pull it up, just want to remind you Dr. Neva, if this is the first time you've been here, I'm a global leadership strategist. I prefer to be called that. I also call myself the International Women's Connector because through the things that I do, somehow I connect some wonderful ladies all around the globe, right? I do the International Women's Conference annually, and I've done the International Women's Wealth Summit, and we're getting ready also for our retreat. We have the Leadership for Entrepreneurs program coming up on October 28th. So if you want to be a part of that, reach out. There is an investment cost to that, of course, because you're investing in your business, you're investing in your learning process. So yeah. And just letting you know, it's also a great networking opportunity for you to meet some other great women while you're leveling up your business and seeing how you can part of leadership, gaining confidence. I'm, so, I'm sure you all have that, but collaboration is great. All right. So my so many pages, so many pages. And, and yeah, I wish I kind of went through this for that I could just go, here, here we go, here we go. So, what is it that you're looking at here? For example, I would show like a male, a female, and the level of the degrees that they so how many have to go into, so my sample size again, real estate, so commission based. And so, of course, I had to show how many people that I interviewed and what the breakdown looked like. Um, as far as n- not just your educational level, but your ethnicity. And so, yeah, I went down and showed that as well, right? So it's all here. So the leadership style of the business. So leadership style, here are the ones that I looked at: transformational, participative, situational, autocratic, laissez-faire. And guys, if you don't know these leadership style, I mean, you could always look it up, or you could reach out and then I'll gladly tell you. So this number of businesses that operate under these leadership style. Participative being a very huge number. Some might say that's great. Some might say, they don't think it is, right? But this is the breakdown. Now, with the leadership style, the high school, as far as, you being in high school, how many operate on that level? The associate degree, the bachelor's degree, we have 14% as participative. Um, the other situational bachelor's degree, autocratic 13. And I was actually kind of surprised it was 13. I thought it would be less, but yeah, 13% and laissez-faire. So you have the master's and the master's degree. No, we didn't have anyone on their doctoral level, so that's really not included. But yeah, so the master's degree, no one in their master's degree operated autocratic or, dictatorship. Some people have it like that, or laissez-faire, right? So that's pretty much it. I'm going to stop sharing. But what I can tell you from all that I've put together is that at the end of it all, those that operate transformational, situational, and participative kept employees around a little longer. Those that it's not just my way or the highway. Those that kept it going. Is it possible that you can have an autocratic or laissez-faire and it works for you? Yes, but it really depends on the type of business that you have, right? So what I mean, part of a business, it might work if you have a worker where you're just telling them to sweep the floor. They know they need to sweep the floor, and that's it. Now, maybe being a little bit dramatic there, but it's kind of like that mindset, right? But if you have someone with a high, certain, educational level, and then you're just telling them, you do this, sooner or later, if they can't give their feedback, if they can't get involved, they're going to feel as if something is missing and they move on. All right, guys. So again, it's a deep research, but I wanted to come on here and just let you know, guys, it's a part of me. I know you notice, you see, oh, she does this. This is what I do. I do leadership. I do leadership, guys. And so, guys, if you want to learn more, if you would like a discovery call with me to learn more about what I do, how I can help your company to grow, whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you are working for a Fortune 500 company. Please feel free to reach out. If there's any topics you would like for me to dive into and, do a podcast, if you want to be a guest, feel free to reach out. All right, guys, until next time, bye.